All right, here's the deal. As America gets back to work, you want and need every possible advantage out there to succeed in the new economy. Smart companies run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud-based business system. So receive your free guide right now at netsuite.com/wolf. That is netsuite.com/wolf. Hey guys, JB here, the Wolf of Wall Street in the Wolf's Den for an extremely important episode, which is really going to be more of an analysis of what actually happened in the election between Biden and Trump. And I think this analysis is going to piss off some of my conservative friends because what it is an alternative explanation of how Biden, who seemingly was far less popular than Trump, if you look at some obvious things like the size of the crowds, the level of excitement, and just a general feeling, that Biden is just not equipped or adept enough, whether it's verbally or mentally, and it's kind of a few cards short of a full deck. People were feeling that, yet somehow he won. And there's been massive allegations of voter fraud. And I myself have said, listen, to me, this shit don't seem right. There seems like there's something wrong here. I've never said that it's a guarantee that there was voter fraud, but I've always said that there doesn't seem to be a full picture here because there were videos that were shot, the one with overhead in Georgia where people pulled out ballots in the middle of the night and blah, blah, blah. And my big gripe with all this stuff is, hey, there could be legitimate explanations for all these things, but the left is just not answering. They're just like acting as if it's not worthy of even responding. And I understand that, like a strategy of saying, you know what, I'm not going to dignify that with a response. They figured, we won and there's no way it's getting overturned, so why should we dignify it with a response? And my problem with that is I thought it was doing a huge disservice to the country because people want to hear the truth. They want to know the other side's explanation. Even I'm in that camp. I'm like, okay, listen, I'm not going to jump to conclusions here and say the election was lost because of fraud. But when the other side refuses to even talk about it and the right is just, showing you things and you're getting half of the story, it's pretty tough to, not scratch and say, why won't they respond? Like most things, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And I've always said that fraud in elections occurs on both sides of the aisle. But this time it seemed like something bad happened. Something was wrong. The way the votes were counted, the way they came in, how all of a sudden votes seemed to reverse themselves. What could it be? Now, along with voter fraud, I said there was also one other possibility. And I said that I'm not sure, but there is some overarching equation here that relates to how people take action. What makes them actually say yes in a context of sales and actually vote in context of an election, right? There's something else going on here, and I thought that was a possibility as well. Well, I watched with bated breath the election in Georgia, the runoff, and unfortunately, because I am on the right, and everyone knows that, right? It confirmed what my suspicion was. And this is an alternative explanation of how Biden beat Trump. And the reason I think it's so important that everyone hears this, both on the left and the right and in the middle, whether you hate Trump, love Trump, doesn't matter. I think everyone should hear this because this explanation is one that includes no voter fraud at all. So if you're on the right and you're just so pissed off right now and you can't go on because you feel like your vote doesn't count anymore and there was massive fraud, this would hopefully make you feel better because perhaps there was no voter fraud. Again, I don't want to say, I don't know, but this is a very strong case as to how what happened, and there's no voter fraud in my analysis. What there is far better strategy on the left. Here's what I believe happened, and I'm pretty sure that this is what happened. This is what caused Trump to lose the election. Think of it this way. You have an election day. I think it was November 6th, was it? Or was it whatever the day was, November 6th, right? And the Republicans on the right, they are, all for get out the vote, go to that polling center, go there, because exercising your constitutional right is what being American is all about. And you gotta go there in person and make sure your vote is counted. Show up so you know your vote is counted. Mail-in voting? Oh, it's terrible. It's a fraud. Don't just please, don't even waste your time. It's not real. Who knows if your vote will ever get there? You want to make sure that you go down to that polling place and make sure that your name is checked. You put it in yourself and you know your vote's secure. That was the Republican side. Mail-in, terrible. Oh, don't even get it, rip it up. Just terrible stuff, right? But on the left, the Democrats are saying, hey, we're going to send everybody here a ballot in the mail. And all you got to do is open it up, and sometime over the next 30 days, when you're in the mood and you have time, just check and just drop it in the mail. No stamp required. And we'll even send someone to your house to pick up the ballot if you're too lazy to drop it in the mail. Ballot harvesting, legal, by the way, right? In some states at least. And those are your two strategies. Let me ask you a question. Think this through for a second. The amount of energy that has to be expended for strategy A on the Republican side, you have to get in your car, you have one day, you got to drive to the polling place, you got to wait in line, and then you're going to vote, versus over 30 days, just simply check a box, wait for someone to either pick up your ballot or just simply drop it in the mail. Obviously, the amount of energy expended on the left side of the equation is far, far less than on the right. So just right there alone, you have a large amount of energy expended for one strategy and very little on the other. And in sales and in all decision-making processes, the brain always weighs out that equation. Energy in, benefits out. It's a fundamental decision-making process we all have. It's part of the straight line system, which I teach. And everyone knows I am probably the best closer in the world. You all know that. Not being, a brag, but it's the truth, okay? And everyone knows that, right? And one of the things I teach is that when you lay out a closing scenario for someone, if you say, imagine, okay, you want to buy this product? Great. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to the post office, fill out a money order, come back. I want you to jump through 2 rings of fire, then go back down, put it in the mail, and wait. And when the thing comes, you got to put it together, assemble it, and that's how you get your product. Or getting started is very easy. Just check the box, put your name in, and we do everything else for you. Which one's going to sell more of that product? Obviously, if the product is the same on both sides, the benefit, which in both cases, on the left or the right, the benefit is have your voice heard, exercise your constitutional right to vote. Which side is going to win just on the energy in, benefits outside of the equation? The left. More people are going to take that action simply because the amount of energy required to get the benefit of voting, of having your voice heard, is infinitely lower on the left. That's one part of it. But here's the even more powerful part. They have a 30-day voting cycle versus a 1-day voting cycle. I just ran a Christmas sale. It started on Black Friday, and it ran all the way through Christmas Day. Approximately 30 days, give or take. Just like mail-in ballots, right? It's very similar. What if I would have had my Christmas sale and I advertised it every single day, like I advertised an election? Every single day I'm advertising discounts, 70% off, major discounts. Oh my God, you gotta get my products. But I didn't open up my shopping cart until the day before Christmas. And I get all of this pent up demand, and in one day I open up my shopping cart. How much am I gonna sell? Maybe I'll make up another. Maybe I'm gonna sell $1 million of product on that one day, because all that marketing, all that demand finally comes to fruition in that one day. Take another example. I open up the cart on Black Friday and do the same amount every single day. I keep it open and I keep it open and I keep marketing to these people. And every time they see an ad, they have the ability to take action in that moment. And I advertise for the same 30 days, the same ad spend. Which one's going to sell more product? The one where my shopping cart's open for 24 hours, or it's open 24 hours a day for 30 days straight? Which one's going to sell more product? Obviously, I sell 3 to 4 times more product over 30 days, and I'll sell it only one day. In other words, what they're doing is they have a 30-day voting cycle on the left. They're having everybody vote over a 30-day period. So what do? You run all your different advertisements, and you can talk about one pain point in each advertisement and say, remember, go get that ballot and vote. Check off the vote right now, vote right now, vote right now. You can't do that if you're only keeping your shopping cart open for one day. It's all about pre-sale, 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 and then hoping and praying that on that one day, all that advertising paid off. Versus that when someone sees an ad and they're hottest for what the product is, in this case, it's an idea, it's going out and voting for the person that you think should be president and will help the country most, right after they see that ad, whether it's on November 26th, 28th, December 2nd, they can always, in that moment, right after they see the ad, right after they've been moved emotionally by the message of the candidate, or either it's the tonality, the message itself, whether it's a PAC that plays a general ad about the evilness of Trump or the wonder of Biden. It could be about one specific issue. Whatever that is, you keep trying multiple messages until you finally hit that one thing. And in that moment, right then and there, the person has the ability to take action, check the box, and drop it in the mail, versus you get them to that ultra point of certainty, but then they have to wait until only one day and vote. How could you possibly expect to get the same number of people to take action? All right, listen, you don't need to tell me that running a business is hard work. But if you're still using QuickBooks and spreadsheets, chances are that you're making it far more difficult than it needs to be. That's why it is time to upgrade now to NetSuite by Oracle. Stop paying for multiple systems. Don't give you the information you need when you need it. And ditch all those spreadsheets and old, outdated software programs that you've outgrown, and just upgrade now. NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Bottom line, it gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. It's everything you need, all in one place. Best of all, NetSuite is for everyone. Whether your business is doing $1 million or $100 million a year, you're going to save a ton of money and a ton of time as well with NetSuite. In fact, over 21,000 companies are using NetSuite right now, so you'll be in great company right alongside them. So let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/wolf. That's netsuite.com/wolf. Schedule your free product tour right now. It's netsuite.com/wolf. That's netsuite.com/wolf. All right. So if people keep telling you to try meditation and you're like, what? When I have time to do that? Well, guess what? You need to check out HEADSPACE. HEADSPACE is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Listen, I myself try this. I'm using HEADSPACE every morning. I start off with a clear head so I can stay focused, motivated all day long. Takes only 10 minutes. Check the numbers. 4 weeks of HEADSPACE can increase focus by 14% and lower stress, which, by the way, for me is crucial, 32% reduction. The bottom line is you deserve to feel happier, and HEADSPACE is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Wolfsten. Again, that's headspace.com/Wolfsten for a free 1-month trial with access to HEADSPACE's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now, so head to headspace.com/Wolfsten today. So what happened? What happened is the Republicans were talking so bad about mail-in ballots. It was the root of all evil. Don't accept it. Let's fight it. It's terrible. You just go out, show yourself be an American, show yourself on Election Day. Well, what happened? On Election Day, when the Republicans showed up, it was, imagine like a football game when the Democrats were on the 97-yard line with 3 yards to go. And the Republicans are at the starting gate on the 20-yard line, and they have to go all the way downfield and hope they don't fumble the ball or throw a Hail Mary pass to win. It's a daunting task. Everything's got to go right. Everything's got to be absolutely perfect because the lead is so massive, they can't catch up. If the Republicans would have executed the same strategy where they had people voting every single day and didn't demonize mail-in voting, mail-in ballots, guess what? They would have started at election day almost even with the Democrats, not at an almost insurmountable deficit, and then try everything on this one day to make it all up. Just think about the insanity of that. How many people listening to this intended to vote one time in your life, but on that particular day, something came up, or you were just feeling lazy or not motivated, or you felt apathetic in that moment, and you didn't do what you thought you were going to do at one point during those 30 days? Everybody, I'm sure, at some point in the election has said, I wanted to vote, whatever. On that particular day, you weren't feeling it. Well, guess what? They had 30 days to catch one just for a second in the right frame of mind where they only had to check a box. That was the Democratic strategy. Is that illegal? It's not. It's just smarter. It's just smarter. Do you guys recall when Obama beat Romney? Everyone was saying, wow, how did Obama do it? Well, one thing he did effectively, had an excellent, on that day, an amazing get out the vote campaign. So it's always about it's not who's got more people. At the end of the day, there's pretty much half and half, right? Republicans, the parties are pretty much relatively close together. They are, right? It's not some massive difference. It's always who can get people to show up. In the old days, the way you did that was by talking extremely about certain things to energize your base, because your base would predictably show up, which causes both parties to have to skew their messages to make their base happy, because you got to get your base motivated. So Republicans and Democrats end up saying shit they don't really believe in because they try to energize their base, because the base will always come out. You got to make sure that base goes out there. But the rules would change with COVID. In other words, it changed the playing field. The rules of the game itself were changed. Used to be you could only vote by mail if there was some reason, either you were out of the country, in the military, or too sick to go, and suddenly everybody got a ballot. So I understand, all the potential for fraud, but forget that. Forget the potential for fraud. That exists on both sides. What about the sheer logic of it all, of the math, of the marketing principle, that it's a 30-day election versus a one-day election? Just think about that. If Republicans want to win again, you do either one of two things. Either make it that it's illegal to do that with mail-in ballots, which I don't think is going to happen anymore at this point, or start playing the same damn game. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, which is what you just did, both in the primary election with both presidential and in the runoff in the Senate. Georgia's historically a Republican stronghold, but they have 30 days of voting versus one day. And I'm not saying that Republicans couldn't vote early. They could, but they weren't selling. That was the message that was being sold. The message that was being sold was it's evil, it's wrong, it's not right, your vote's not going to get... True or true? So the amount of people that are going to exercise that right to make it easy to vote are going to be far less. Hence why on election day, the Republicans had a massive deficit to make up, both in the presidential election and in the elections that followed suit. It's a huge issue. So again, I'm not saying there wasn't fraud or let's just get away from that for a second. I don't think it's more healthy for the country right now. If you're a conservative or Republican and you're not sure, well, just think about this for a second. Just think about the math of it all. It seems pretty obvious in retrospect that a 30-day election, 30 days of action taking, has got a significant edge to 1 day of action taking. So just think about that. And hopefully it'll make you sleep better at night, because the last thing I want anyone to think, or myself to think, is that my vote doesn't count anymore, or the system is hopelessly corrupt or rigged. Please don't think that. That's the end of the country as we know it. It really is. It's the end of the country as we know it. And it doesn't serve you, me, or anybody else. It doesn't serve the people who won. If the end result of the Democrats taking control of all three parts of the government, right? If that's meaning, well, the legislative and the executive, and ultimately will become the judicial, right? Because they'll appoint new judges and so forth, right? If the end result of that, and you've lost faith that the United States still exists as a real republic, then it was a loss for everybody, both sides. I don't like what's going on right now. I don't like all this stuff with censorship and suppression. I really don't. But I think what's happening here is there's this undercurrent of anger on the right that's so extreme right now that the election was stolen votes. It's not healthy for anybody. And yeah, I would have loved to see that debate, that proof happen. I haven't seen it, but you know what? In my mind, the more I look at it, I'm saying, God, maybe there was fraud. I always said there's fraud on both sides of the aisle. I'm not saying there wasn't or there was. That's not the point. The point is there's an alternative explanation. You know, Occam's razor? Sometimes the most simple explanation is the most likely one. What's more likely here? That there was, voting machines switching votes secretly in the night, or simple marketing and sales techniques, a better strategy for getting people to take action. It's so obvious when you look at it like that. So I'm not saying there weren't problems that need to be fixed and addressed or looked at. What I'm saying is no matter what, there is a massive edge that would be credited to the side that was using the strategy of a 30-day voting cycle where no action has to be taken other than checking something and either dropping it in the mail or giving it to the person that knocks on your door. Versus the idea that you're going to convince people by bombarding them with messages for 30 days straight. So in that one day, they'll be in the right mindset to go out and vote. When you look at it like that, it becomes very obvious how Georgia ended up in the hands of the Democrats. And how Biden, who in my mind does not seem to possess the mental faculties to run, how could he win? Because they had 30 days to count votes. 30 days. They count them in one day, 30 days to collect them. How could you possibly win? I know I'm beating this, Ben Host, think of it. How could you win an election when you have one day and the other side's got 30? If I was running the Republican machine right now, I'd be making sure that next voting cycle, we are literally going at mail-in ballots like with everything we got, and then hitting him on election day and making him show up then too, and watch the difference. That's my 2 cents. This is probably, I think, one of the most important podcasts or announcements I've made, because I think there's so much anger right now because people think there was massive fraud. But this is a different way of looking at it, and it makes a lot of sense, even to me. And I was skeptical, but the more I think about it, Georgia confirmed it in my mind. Because I don't think there was fraud in Georgia. Everyone's watching. And by the way, you get away with something once. So now watch again closely, all Republicans, and see if you can catch me a second time. They wouldn't do it again. If they did, you wouldn't do the same thing twice, yet they won again. How'd that happen? It happened because they weren't cheating this time, or even less, if they had a better strategy of execution. So wake the hell up, Republicans. If you want to win elections, stop trying to talk terribly about mail-in voting and get people to vote by mail every single day and then get into the polls on election day. Make it a fair fight, because right now it's not fair. But it's not illegal, but it's not fair. They have a better strategy, a smarter one, and one that is all about what? The realities of 2020. And the realities say people don't want to leave their house. People want to stay home, check a box, send it back. And there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it and have a great day.